Today is Thursday, December 19th, 2019. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, it is official. Donald Trump has been impeached the third time in American history. We'll talk about what's next. Tonight's Democratic debate will feature no black candidates. We'll talk about why that matters. Thousands of people have been purged from Georgia's voting rolls. Found out why and what can be done about it. And OJ prosecutor Chris Darden has a new prominent client, Democratic donor Ed Buck, who of course has been indicted in the death of two black gay men in LA. Another case of mortgage fraud in Prince George's County, Maryland, involving African Americans. And we also bid farewell to T.C. Williams High School football coach in Virginia, Herman Boone. Of course, Denzel played him in Remember the Titans. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time. And it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin!
On this vote, the yeas are 230, the nays are 197, present is 1. Article 1 is adopted. On this vote, the yeas are 229, the nays are 198, present is 1. Article 2 is adopted.
Mark it down. A little after 8:30 p.m. Eastern on December 18th, 2019, Donald Trump became the third American president impeached. That's right. It all happened as a result of him seeking out a foreign entity to help bring down a political rival. Now, of course, Republicans did all they could to try to stop it from happening, but the reality is Donald Trump, as Nancy Pelosi predicted, impeached himself. Now, Pelosi says she will wait to send it over to the Senate because Mitch McConnell hasn't gotten his stuff together.
Madam Speaker, do you view the House's role in this as complete now, or are there steps you might take to try to ensure, as the chairman suggested, a more fair trial in the Senate?
You mean more fair trial than they're contemplating? Because we had a very fair process in the House of Representatives. I would yield to our... let me just put it another way. We have legislation approved by the Rules Committee that will enable us to decide how we will send over the articles of impeachment. We cannot name managers until we see what the process is on the Senate side, and I would hope that that will be soon, as we did with our legislation, our Resolution 660, to describe what the process would be. So far, we haven't seen anything that looks fair to us, so hopefully it will be fair, and when we see what that is, we'll send our managers.
Today, Pelosi held a news conference where she was asked, of course, about what took place last night. She pretty much said she doesn't give a damn what Republicans think.
As some Republicans have said, of looking like you're playing games with impeachment if you hold on to these articles for too long.
I said what I was going to say, Nancy. When we bring the bill, which is, just so you know, there's a bill made in order by the Rules Committee that we can call up at any time in order to send it over to the Senate and to have the provisions in there to pay for the impeachment. And then the next step, whatever you want to call it, the trial. That is where you put the managers. I was not prepared to put the managers in that bill yet because we don't know the arena that we are in. Frankly, I don't care what the Republicans say. Any other questions? Not on this subject. I've said this is it. I honored Nancy.
Run the risk, as some Republicans have said, of looking like you're playing games with impeachment if you hold on.
So it's interesting. Nancy Pelosi makes it perfectly clear that she's not going to play games with Mitch McConnell. Let's go to our panel right now. Dr. Greg Carr, Chair, Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University. Also with us is Melanie Campbell, of course, she with the Black Women's Roundtable, and Michael Brown, former Vice Chair, DNC Finance Committee. Melanie, I'm going to start with you. Folks talk about Nancy Pelosi. She did not want last night to happen.
Right.
She held off for a very long time, but she managed this process in a way where, look, she's got the Republicans trying to figure out what the hell she's going to do next.
Well, I think that Nancy Pelosi is the leader that was needed in this moment in history. She's boss. She's boss lady. But she's following the process. She's been really clear. It's been about the Constitution. It's been growing up in this country where all the white folks I grew up around talk about how the flag and how important it is to follow the rule of the law and all these kind of things, but only as it pertains to everybody else. And so it was a sad moment, you know, to watch it, because I've lived long enough to know that this was extremely serious what happened last night, but the president made sure that he was impeached. So she just had to do what her oath of office required her to do, and that's uphold the Constitution.
Greg Carr,
and do it for the American people.
Greg Carr, Democrats wanted her to impeach him after the Mueller report. She said no. I remember the comment she made, he is going to impeach himself. And he kept going, and he kept going, and he kept going, and he did. And people don't realize it was that phone call in September. And then first of all, when the whistleblower came forward, Adam Schiff calls out the director of national intelligence. That's how this all came about. Donald Trump's actions caused last night.
They absolutely did. And the GOP has dropped all pretenses. That's why I think, as far as news and commentary is concerned, this is really the only place to have an intelligent conversation about this. I'm sitting next to a sister who has been part of a coalition who has been doing political analysis for a long time, and I need to go back and look at the Black Women's Roundtable and go, what have we been saying? What you've been saying? We've been trying to tell y'all this. There were only 2 articles yesterday that were approved, and only 3 Democrats, well, I guess 2 if you count this cat from New Jersey who's going to try to run on a Republican ticket, switched sides. Let's leave Tulsi Gabbard aside for a second. But there were only 2. The 10th article of impeachment for Andrew Johnson was for him saying that America's a white man's country, and as long as I'm president, it's going to remain a white man's government. That was the 10th article of impeachment in 1866 for him. And what did McConnell do today? Yeah. What did they say yesterday? They're on the floor of the United States House saying that even that was an overreach. So what the GOP has done is dropped all pretenses. So when Pelosi comes along, as you say, very calm, very temperament, and says, these are the 2 that you can't deny because of this whistleblower, as Schiff has done. And when she says, we're going to hold this back and let McConnell get his act together, I think about our brother Al Green, who's probably his first appearances were here on your airways, on your show, when he says, we could have got this guy at the beginning. But what you've taken away from the GOP is every hiding place except the one thing they have now put their entire government on the bedrock of, and that is what? This is a white man's government, and we're going to ride it till the wheels fall off.
And we're going to do it the way we want.
And we're going to do it the way we want.
Mike Brown, what is interesting here is now, first of all, McConnell talked too soon. Him and Lindsey Graham. We may call this thing up, immediately vote. So they saying to us right now, we'll do it before Christmas. This thing is out of the way. Now, she's going to sit back and say, what y'all got? Then what's going to happen is it's going to force those moderates in the Senate, Collins. It's going to force a Murkowski. It's going to force, for the moderates, but for whatever you want to call it, Romney. Those individuals are going to say, well, hold up. Are we going to call witnesses? What are the rules? How's this going to work out? That's the other piece there. And so she can sit on it and make them wait. Trial may not be till next October.
I think that's, and Cory Gardner, who you probably think, even if he's not a moderate, but his state is becoming much different. You're exactly right, and just genius. I mean, we're watching political 101 genius about how Nancy Pelosi
No. This doctorate level.
Okay, thank you.
This ain't 101.
Masters, you're right.
This 501, 601.
This is like a thesis.
PhD.
This is a thesis. You're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's right.
She, depending how you look at speakers' history, Sam Rayburn, Tip O'Neill, and then Nancy Pelosi. She's in that group. And what she has done is put him, now they're always on the defensive now. We've never seen Republicans on defensive like we do now, especially this guy who's always, 45, is always on the offensive. Now he's on the defense. He's going to avoid impeachment through Christmas holidays and possibly through the Iowa caucuses.
Lauren Victoria Burke and MPA joins us as well. Here's what you know, crazy man is unhinged. So last night, he's in Michigan. He attacks a dead man.
Right.
The longest serving member in U.S. House history.
Yeah.
Now you got two Republicans in Michigan saying, you need to apologize.
Right.
You insults the man widow. Oh, I don't want anything. And not only is he always petty, but this is going to rankle him. It's going to drive him crazy.
Right.
Because impeachment will now be attached to his name.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the idea that it somehow is going to benefit him, I think, is a ridiculous statement. Obviously, for the most part, people stay where they were. If you supported Trump, you supported Trump. If you was against him, you were against him. But I think, like, the saddest part of the entire thing is to watch the Republican Party in this moment. The Republican Party is embarrassing itself. It is the lowest point for them, easily the lowest point for them. Because if you notice during their little debate yesterday, there is nobody out there defending Donald Trump, the person. This is something that Chris Matthews brought up yesterday. It's very true.
Very much so.
No defense whatsoever of his behavior. No defense on the merit of any of the charges. No defense of this is a good man who wouldn't do this. None of that. Because they can't. They can't. And what's even more shocking is when you think about the fact that these two articles have nothing to do with treason, have nothing to do with emoluments, have nothing to do with obstruction, really direct obstruction of justice, which they could have very easily have brought up. So there's all these other things that they could have impeached him on that they didn't even get to. And these Republicans are standing out there, and of course you see the demographic divide right in front of your face with this party. Mostly white males defending the president. Not even a few white women thrown in there to sort of make it look good, because this is it. This is the party. This is the Republican Party, and it is embarrassing. And that new group that Rick Wilson and them set up, the Never Trump Republicans.
George Conway.
Good for them, right? Because those Never Trump Republicans, a lot of them are white men as well. But the point is, this party has just come down to desperation and defending Donald Trump, and that's it.
The day after, you know it's bad when you got Putin defending you.
Right, right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When Putin is defending Trump, that's all you need to know.
Right.
As to where this man stands.
And
Right.
the only one, the French, the Chinese, the English, China saying, we told y'all this is American democracy. What are y'all talking about? In England, they're saying, yeah, this is a problem. And they got Boris Johnson. You've leapfrogged over Boris Johnson. And to the point that you just raised, Lauren, this Lincoln Quartet that they've got, they were in the New York Times today. You know, that includes a man who was John McCain's principal advisor that loosed Sarah Palin on the world. Now y'all want to throw the rock and hide your hands? Yeah, good for y'all, but do not try to rehabilitate the Republican Party.
Right.
The Republican Party, which we were watching yesterday, I was talking back and forth between the House floor debate and Roland Martin Unfiltered. As y'all had the all-women panel breaking this down. I'm watching, as you said, these are all white men.
Right.
And so, yes, well, please.
And that's really what this is boiled down to be
Yes,
about.
yes.
Because it didn't just start with the impeachment. It started when President Obama, in my opinion, was elected in the first place.
That's right.
So, Mitch McConnell has been very, very focused. He has not swayed at all. So he's taken it to the fullest extent to this moment. And it is about white men saying we will stay in power no matter at all costs. We will tear down this democracy we call this, as long as white men are in charge. And that's the image of that what I saw.
But see, it's gonna
last
splinter
night.
because when you can't even keep the husband of the president's advisor, you can't even keep George Will in the Republican Party.
That's right.
At some point, they are going to splinter. They can only hold this thing up for so long.
Well, and again, I keep reminding people, this is the guy who only won 78,000 votes.
Well, he
See, everybody keeps focusing on his 43%. He only won by 78,000. And if you break that down, Hillary Clinton did not go to Wisconsin, which was idiotic. You get voter ID, then you get Pennsylvania and Michigan. And so literally, if you now start looking what you look at what Democrats have been able to do, what black folks were able to do.
Come on now.
Followed by Democrats in North Carolina.
That's
Right.
Now you got Congressman Mark Meadows, Freedom Caucus, announcing today he's not running. Why? Because they broke the gerrymandering.
Come on, brother.
And now they are afraid to run in competitive districts.
Well, same thing with Mark Walker. So in North Carolina, of course, they finally fixed the map to some degree.
Right. So
now these people
North
resign.
Carolina A&T is now in one congressional district.
Right.
But again, what you're now dealing with is that Obama won North Carolina by 14,000 votes. Romney wins it in 2012. Trump wins in 2016. North Carolina could very well be definitely in play in 2020 like it was in 2008 because of the work of Reverend Barber, Moral Mondays, NAACP, Democracy North Carolina, all those folks.
That's right.
And so that's why I keep trying to tell people, y'all keep talking about his base, but he only won by 78,000 votes in 3 states.
Well, they're outnumbered, and they know they're outnumbered. Yeah. Obviously, Hillary, I mean, I know, obviously, we know the Electoral College is the thing, but obviously she won by almost 3 million more votes. That would tell you that there's a huge problem with the Republican Party, because if you go back to 2000, obviously, Al Gore and that whole, I mean, Gore basically won, right? So they're barely able to get by.
In fact, and Gore just won his home state.
Right.
He's president.
Right.
Correct.
They're only able to get by on voter suppression.
Which is now
and
what
other
they're doing now.
games, right?
Look at Georgia.
Right.
The story you're going to cover today.
Right.
That's right. I mean, now you can see the battleground states that are coming up now.
Right.
Georgia, the purge. We're seeing these, and so Lauren, it's very important that point you're making, because when you see what the GOP is doing, they know they can't win.
Right.
So they're not funding the census, but now we see millions of dollars in states that need to be having their count right, or they're spending money now. This country could very much fracture. We can't take 4 more years of Trumpism because the GOP is stacking the federal judiciary. One of the reasons the Democrats probably didn't go to court is because these judges were slow and slow. 13 this week.
And that's the piece.
While all this was going on.
Now, it's interesting is that there's a debate tonight at Loyola Marymount University, the last Democrat debate 2019. But judicial nominations hasn't come up in a single damn debate. There'll be no black candidates on stage tonight. We talked about this last night, Melanie, and we have to deal with this in reality. If you study 1972 to present day, black folks have rarely gotten behind black candidates.
Right. That's true. That's true. And we're strategic with our vote. We are. We don't just vote for you because of your color.
Right.
We vote for you because are you going to address our issues? And they can play with it all they want to. And so I keep saying to the Democratic Party, look, I was in the room the other day with some of my white sisters, right? Just having a conversation, and they brought up the 53% again. I'm like, y'all got to fix that.
That's on y'all.
Y'all got to fix that.
Yes.
But the burden of saying that black women have to carry it, and of course, more brothers voting the right way.
Yes.
Y'all gonna make that happen in 2020.
Absolutely.
Right?
But it's real simple.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
We help you.
No question.
But right now,
Trump,
Trump has an approval rating of 42% among white women. If 42% of white women support Donald Trump in 2020, a drop of 11%, he's toast.
Right.
White women, that's on y'all. Don't come holler at us. That's on y'all. So I need all your white women to get together in y'all little groups. Don't come talk to us.
Because it is about conversation, and that was my thing. You've got to talk to your cousins. You've got to talk to your relatives. You've got to, if you believe that this thing needs to change and that you believe your issue is not just to make sure white people stay in power, white men stay in power, your sons stay in power, and you want to see your daughters have more opportunity, then that's on you, respectfully. And then Roland, in the Democratic Party, not having a diverse imagery is problematic. And so to be able to stay with a process that you end up finding out before you had the first vote, that you're looking, and then your asset, you're holding on the process.
Chairman
as opposed to what is your asset.
Chairman Perez.
They need to change that by January.
When he set up the process, several months ago, he should have held 2 at-larges in his pocket. So you have the criteria, and let's say it's however many people, 7 people. Oh, and there are 2 at-larges. And it'll be Senator Booker and whoever else you want.
Well, here's the deal, though.
At-larges.
Why?
Then you have some. Well, if diversity, if you're worried about what the stage is going to look like, from some standpoint, hey, he set up the process. Folks didn't make it. This is who it is.
The problem with Cory Booker is he's at 1 and 2%.
Right.
That's the problem. So I wish he was on stage because what he talks about, I want to hear about. But he's at 1 or 2%. The other thing we have to admit is Elizabeth Warren is talking about our issues. And we shouldn't ignore the fact that Elizabeth Warren is talking about issues, because just because she's a white candidate doesn't mean we should pretend that she's not. She's talking about our issues.
But Lauren, hold
Cory
up, Lauren.
has
She
to
didn't talk
admit
about
he's
this,
at
and
2%.
I like a whole lot of them. I'm not in anybody's camp. But when we were in Atlanta,
Right.
that last debate, if it wasn't for Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, those two, our issues would not have been. It had not truly.
Warren-
I'm not saying that people aren't doing it on the fringes.
Warren brought up redlining, which nobody talks about.
And that's fine.
Nobody. So that was something
when it
we
comes
never heard
to
at a debate ever. So that was
I'm not saying she doesn't deal with it. I'm saying when you went in depth, it was the 2 black people that went in depth. And so at the end of the day, when we're saying that this country is the browning of America and all these kinds of things, it does matter.
But we
allow the people to vote.
But if he's not getting the support, he's not getting the support.
But we got to put it on the table, though. Even if you look at South Carolina, the 4 minority candidates were below 5%. And black people will be more than half of the folks voting in that primary.
Well, here's what I think it really behooves us to listen to the folks who have studied this. That's why I turned to all 3 of these folks here and I asked.
And yourself.
Well, no, but for me, different. I mean, because working on the ground and then being part of the Democratic Party apparatus. Now think about Jackson in '88. There was no nominee going into Atlanta. And when Jackson released his delegates, part of the trade-off was we get to get in this DNC and work it. And so that's when your father emerged, Brother Brown. That's when you see these super delegates kind of reigning. And I'm thinking, is part of our strategy. Older black folk, like my mama age them, they just want to beat Trump. And so thinking about that white person logic, they thinking, y'all not going to vote for, white people ain't going to vote for a black person or a brown person or a yellow person. We need to figure out which white man going to beat Trump. So the younger blacks, I was going to say, Bernie Sanders, meanwhile, got a lot of young sisters. I see these young sisters, and they started an HBCU tour. There may be a generational debate, but I think that's why I turn and I ask, you know, is this black people saying, how do we beat Trump? And it doesn't have to look like me in order to beat Trump. I don't know. That's
But no,
don't let it be a distraction.
Hold on. This has to be put on the table. Because, see, you mentioned 88 super delegate.
Yes.
They changed the rules.
Let me be real clear with y'all.
That's right. That's right.
Bernie Sanders had the rules changed after 2016 because he was angry the superdelegates were backing Hillary Clinton. Let me explain a lot of black folks who don't know. That it was Reverend Jackson, Dr. Ron Walters, Ron Brown, Harold Ickes, the 4 of them who got together, got the rules changed that expanded superdelegates, which expanded black representation. Now let me unpack that. Let me unpack that. Had the superdelegates rules been in place this year, guess who would still be in the race?
Come on, brother.
Senator Kamala Harris. Who would likely be polling better? Senator Cory Booker. So there were black people.
She ran out of money, though, didn't she?
No. She did. There were black people who were outside of the party who were like, that's right, Bernie, who did not understand that black power had increased with the change in superdelegates. Michael, that's one of those things that people on the outside didn't realize what your dad and Reverend Jackson and Walters did on the inside that caused black power to be larger than it was before.
Though, when they put that together, clearly Reverend was rising up and running for president.
Right.
But it was also for the future, to give black folks power at the seat at the table. Because if you have super delegates, you can sit at the table and say, wait a minute, I got some power and some juice. You can't just run the table. Now, that's what I'm worried about. This primary season can stretch all the way to the convention. And then whoever the nominee is. Yeah.
You can get mad all y'all want to, but the superdelegate process prevents a Mike Bloomberg from coming in and dropping $100 million in 2 weeks.
Because he can't collect. He can't collect delegates. Like,
See, and so the anger that y'all don't want to deal with, there were a lot of black Democrats who were angry because Sanders wasn't a Democrat,
and went back.
changed the rules, and still wouldn't call himself a Democrat.
Correct.
Even, look, the source from Obama saying, look, the man ain't a Democrat. But again, it's one of those things that people not understanding the inner workings of power.
Now, Professor, excuse me 1 second, Ron. Professor, to yours, I was with a group of senior African-American women the other day, and they were talking about, what they were like, you know what? Obama could have picked anybody to be his vice president. Anybody. You could have picked any governor, any senator, any member of Congress, former cabinet secretary. He picked Joe Biden. That's good enough for me.
Well, we understand.
If he can beat Trump, and that's what they're saying.
Don't disagree, but we also, this is again why it's so important. Obama is not of the genealogy of Shirley Chisholm or Ron Walters or Ron Brown or Jesse Jackson. And in many ways, what we see with 88
And when, hold up, before you,
please.
when you say genealogy, you're not talking about his bloodline.
I'm not talking about bloodlines at all.
You're speaking of political.
I'm talking about political genealogy. I'm sorry. Yes, he is the beneficiary of that. And in fact, and you talked about it on air, the death of Richard Hatcher is something we need to unpack even more because it was 72 Gary. In many ways, that sets the blueprint for when it ends up in 88. And if you look backward from 72.
That set up, 88 sets up 2000.
That's exactly right. And if you look backward from 72, 8 years, it's Fannie Lou Hamer on the delegate challenge in 64 in Atlantic City that starts the ball rolling towards 72. Why do we say all this is important here in 2019? We're in it now. Tom Perez is in it now. These young people who don't know the history are in it now. And these elders, these black people, and Melanie, you've been charting this for so long. We've got to make some serious decisions because 4 more years of Trump could see a fracture in this national experiment called the United States that can't be put back together because California and New York are not going to carry Mississippi and Alabama and them much longer. If you want to run this, you'll have a smaller place to run. And I just don't know what is going to unfold in the wake in these next few months.
So, Melanie, what has to happen tonight now, since black folks didn't support Senator Harris, let's just be honest, not supporting Senator Booker, now it's like, okay, fine. If it's going to be Biden, Warren, Sanders, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, what y'all going to do?
Bring your A game.
What you going to do?
Bring your
What
A
y'all
game.
going to do?
Bring your A game, and we need to hear the issues that matter to us. It's like we've been voting for more white presidents last I checked. So it's they're not
This
going
ain't
to
new
do
to
it.
us.
Not new.
And so that's the pressure for those who are still in the race. That you better speak to it. You better and then at the end of the day, Roland, what we're doing, and I know I got to
go ahead. Final comment. Go ahead.
To go take care of a little family, but at the end of the day, I'm excited because I think these young people are who's registering to vote more than anybody are young people.
Come on now.
It's just that they can stay the course and deal with it and follow the power that they have. They can change this whole game because it's not just about 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It's about who is going to be controlling that U.S. Senate.
Last
right?
Roland,
Right.
before she
That's the key.
And Roland and I have talked about this, Professor, I think we've talked about it. The key for young people, too, is if their candidate does not win,
Stay the course.
they got to keep staying in the game. They can't be frustrated like Bernie's folks after the primary in 16.
right.
They didn't come out. So those folks have to if they have to hold their nose, they got to stay engaged.
Own that power.
All right. Melanie, Kevin, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thanks a lot.
And see you all in the 2020 decade.
All right, absolutely. All right, folks, gotta go to a break.
Thank
We'll be back at Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All right, folks, it's the holiday season. This is when you think about spending time with your family and friends. It's also when you count your blessings and support those less fortunate. This year, you can be a holiday hero and change someone's life forever. Right now, there are hundreds of thousands of people who are sitting in jail without being convicted of a crime. Why? Because they can't pay the bail. The reality is this: if you are able to pay your bail, you're more likely to have no charges brought against you as a result of that. But if you can't pay it, you're more likely to plead guilty. That's why the Ebony Foundation has partnered with the Bail Project and sponsoring the Home by the Holiday campaign. Their goal is to bail out 1,000 people between now and New Year's Day. You can make a donation to their effort to do so. All you got to do is go to homebytheholiday.com, homebytheholiday.com. All right, folks, let's talk about the story out of Los Angeles where Chris Darden, best known for prosecuting O.J. Simpson, is now representing Ed Buck, the Democratic donor, accused of supplying fatal doses of narcotics to two black men who died in his West Hollywood apartment. Buck allegedly lured poor and vulnerable men to his apartment with promises of party and play, meaning sex and drug use in exchange for money. He then injected them with doses of methamphetamine and led to 10 of them overdosing, causing the deaths of two men, both who were black. But here's what here's a piece.
Unbelievable.
If you get indicted, you're gonna hire a lawyer.
Right.
Is it a big deal that Chris Darden taking the case?
Yes.
Why?
Because you've got to be careful when you have a client-based business whose case you take, because, frankly, your branding is wrapped up in that question. And when you take the case of somebody accused of what he's accused of, obviously this is alleged, innocent until proven guilty, due process, I totally believe in that, but your branding does matter, and the cases you take and the people that you represent matter, even as an attorney.
But here's the deal.
And I'm saying this is somebody who believes in due process.
White attorneys have represented mobsters. They represented all kinds of different people. They have been celebrated as celebrity lawyers.
Yeah, and he prosecuted the OJ.
No.
Right? So let's be real about where.
But I'm still asking the question, Greg and Mike. Simple. Okay, white attorneys take cases all the time.
Yeah.
People don't question their whiteness. Oh, you shouldn't do it. And they are held up as these great lawyers.
Well, because whiteness is the default position for humanity in this country. So, of course, their whiteness won't be challenged. But, and as you say, Lauren, I mean, here's a man who prosecuted O.J. Now, in black communities, we're saying, O.J. maybe did it, maybe didn't. But you're looking at Chris Darden like, you the police.
Right.
Now he's in private practice. And like you said, Lauren, he's got a client-based community. But whether it's Chris Darden as an attorney, whether it's Will Hurd, who gave this mumbling thing yesterday and then voted not to impeach Trump, or whether it's going to be Senator Tim Scott in South Carolina. When it comes to black folk, when we see you and we say you black, we expect you to behave politically the way you present phenotypically. And that simply is not the case in the United States.
And you're telling me of all the cases you can take with all these guys represented by the Innocence Project and these three guys who just got out in Baltimore, he takes that case? I mean, see, when you're an attorney, you have a vast degree of decisions you can make about what type of clients you can have.
But here's the piece, though.
That's right.
If someone is coming to you and they're paying, again, though.
There are other people out there that need representation.
But here's the question, though, Mike. If an attorney not named Chris Darden took this case, are we discussing this? Is it a big deal?
Probably not. I mean, clearly, and I've been fortunate enough to have been in law firms, and the standard with black folks is obviously different than your white counterparts. So the standard's always going to be different. I'll give an example. There was an unnamed particular Arab country that wanted to be represented at a particular firm. Some black folks were bringing it in, and the senior partner said, of course I'm not saying any names, senior partner said, just keep in mind, if you do that, it could impact some of our Jewish clients.
Interesting.
And so just keep that in mind. They better pay you enough that, hey, I don't even know if you'll be able to work on other projects, and this could be it. So I don't know if the same conversation would have happened with a white colleague. I don't know. And I'm not saying any names,
You
of
think
course.
Buck is paying him? Given what you've just said, there is an X factor involved, isn't there? What does his client base look like right now? And is Buck written a check big enough for him to hold his
Okay,
nose?
so
And it
flip
does
this.
happen to white
So flip
people, by
this.
the way.
So flip this. Ed Buck, white Democratic donor, indicted supplying drugs to the 2 black gay men. Okay, so do we say the same thing if a black woman is representing R. Kelly?
Ooh.
If a black woman, there were people who were mad at Monique Presley for being one of the attorneys representing Bill Cosby.
Sure.
Okay, so what? If a white woman was representing Bill Cosby, in fact, a white woman didn't have the same criticism.
No, of course not.
So what are we actually saying to black attorneys?
We're saying that
We're going to decide who you get to represent?
We're saying that intersectionality is a nice academic construct and a fiction. Race is the single most powerful determinant of how we view each other in this society. No, white women doesn't matter. Gloria Alfred can come out and represent all the victims, and the minute Monique Presley says, well, this man deserves a vigorous defense, oh, hell no. I mean, what about gender? No, the only thing that Gloria Alfred and Monique Presley share is they happen to be female. But Monique is a black female. Race is always the determinant.
Let me tell you something right now. If my ass in trouble, I'm going to try to hire the best damn person I can.
Chris Darden.
And if I was...
No,
I mean, you're
Chris
not gonna hire
loses
Chris
all the
Darden.
time.
He does lose all the
He
time.
does. He loses all the time.
First of all, okay, outside of OJ, how many Chris Darden cases have you followed?
Look, all I know is
No,
he lost a big case.
Answer the question.
OJ was guilty and he lost.
First
I mean,
of all,
listen,
here's the deal,
you're not going to pick Chris Darden as your attorney. Come on.
That's one case. But
That's
wait a
true.
minute.
No, that's true, Roland.
But wait a minute.
That was a
fair
biggie.
point.
That was a
But the
biggie.
other piece is, that's one case.
It's a fair
You
point.
don't even know any other cases.
It's the defining
And
case.
you don't even
but
know
it's-
That's a defining case.
But you also don't even know who else he defended.
The dude was guilty and Chris
But you
Darden
also
lost.
don't know who he defended. And here's the other deal. The guy who allegedly killed Nipsey Hussle,
Yeah.
they hired Chris Darden.
Yeah, they did.
Black folks said, you can represent him. Now what we saying here, now hold up. So Darden can't represent a black man who allegedly killed Nipsey Hussle.
Mm-hmm.
Now he can't represent a white man who allegedly killed 2 black gay men. Well, who the hell can he represent?
It's the politics of race. I mean, it's the
I
politics of
don't
race. Of
know
course
that
it
it's
is.
just race.
No, but it's
Because
not
we
just race.
we just
but-
watched Pete Buttigieg. People demanded that he give the money back from the firm, from the attorneys of the firm,
Yeah.
representing a Me Too case, which was Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you need to give that money
No.
back.
No.
All right. Now, obviously, it's going to be
he gave it,
disproportionately
but
on us.
but the first one,
But let's
he
be
had to
real.
get the money back for the lawyer who worked to not release the LaQuama McDonald tape.
Mm-hmm.
That was race.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
wait a minute.
I'm just-
Did we just skip over the example I just gave?
No,
that
no,
wasn't.
no.
I mean, like what?
No. I need y'all to answer my question. He couldn't represent the black man who allegedly killed Nipsey Hussle. Now he can't represent Ed Buck. Okay, who can he represent?
You are who. You
People
live
that
in a
black
branding
people-
world. You are
Right.
a lot of times who you represent.
Who can he represent?
No question.
He should be able to
What do you mean,
represent.
who can he represent?
should
He
be able
just
to represent
represented
who-
3 people
He
that
should
we
be able
know
to
of.
represent who he wants to represent. Now, in the OJ case, he also lost to a better black lawyer.
And that's
Right.
the issue.
How about
For
that?
black people, nothing
right.
about the
That's
law.
right.
It was like,
Lots
this
of
black dude
black
is with us, and that black dude with the police. So, yeah.
There's not a single person watching right now. If it was your ass was on the line,
You would not.
you
Chris Darden.
would sit here and say, I'm gonna try to get the best person who I can get with my money.
And that would not be Chris Darden,
And guess
Roland.
what? You don't care what I think,
I take Scott
Lauren think, Greg think, Mike think. You're gonna tell all of us to kiss your ass because you're trying to stay out of jail.
That's true.
It's simple as
I'll
that.
bet you Chris Darden is the only attorney that guy could get. How about that? All right. I'll bet you he has trouble finding an attorney to defend him in that case.
Interesting.
Because a lot of people won't just
Hold up.
First of all, defense
Hold up,
attorneys
hold
right
up.
there are hard
First
to
of
find.
all, we don't even know that. That's
Yeah,
you don't
well,
even know
let me
that.
tell you, Chris Darden is the best defense attorney in this
First of
country,
all,
really?
you don't even. First of all,
Oh,
is
that's
that
not
country?
right. Like,
Well,
He's in
since
L.A.
Since when has Chris Darden been a good
Roland-
defense
but
attorney?
Roland, you
Since
make-
when do we think
But
of
you
Chris
don't
Darden?
even know his cases.
But-
So,
it-
do,
it-
do,
Okay,
well, since when do we think of Chris Darden when we think of defense
do you know of
attorneys?
any case?
Do you think of Chris
no,
Darden when you think of
I'm
defense
asking
attorneys?
you.
No, I'm asking you.
No, do you know
think
of
of Chris
any
Darden
case
when
he
you think of
defended?
defense
Guess
attorneys?
what? I don't know.
Well, for a
I'm
long-
not in
That's
L.A.
not who you would
For a
pick
long
as
time,
defense
I'm not in
attorney.
L.A.
Darden came out of the practice of law. Remember, he was writing novels and things like that. But I mean, this is an interesting thing you raised.
So who's she hire? Marty Singer?
All I know is Chris Darden does not come to
who's
mind
she
when I
hire?
think of
in the
defense
first-
attorneys.
But you're not in L.A.
But in the first paragraph of what you
Are you in L.A.? No.
Do I have to be in L.A. to know that Chris Darden lost one of the biggest cases of the last century in this
Right.
country?
You talking about
Which
the
he
case
did.
in the
Which he
90s.
did. He lost
Let
the
me
OJ
ask you
case.
again.
He lost
Let
the
me
OJ
ask you again,
case.
Lauren.
You can try to trap me if
Lauren,
you want.
I'm not trying to trap you.
You're not going to answer my
Do
question.
you know
Do
of
you
a
think
single
Chris Darden,
client
do
who
you
Chris
think of,
Gardner defended?
Do you think of Chris
Yes or
Darden?
no?
Do you think of Chris Darden?
Do you
yes
know
or no?
a single
yes or no?
client
Do you
who
think
he
of Chris
defended?
Darden? Do you think of Chris Darden when you think of defense attorneys?
First of all,
The answer
Chris
is no.
Darden.
No. The answer is no.
Here's the deal. First of all, let's be real clear.
So my answer for you
let
is-
me answer
my
again.
answer for you is
let me
no.
answer
So
again.
are both my
I don't
answers are
know.
no?
I don't know of a single defense client he's represented. You don't either.
Oh, please.
You don't know the outcome
you
of a
don't-
single case that involving Chris Darden when he defended the client. Not
Oh,
one.
my God.
So how can you make a judgment?
And so he's the best defense
here's
attorney
my
in the
question.
United States.
Here's my
because of
question. No,
that.
how can you make a judgment on his job as a defense attorney
run us
when
some
you
Chris
don't know
Darden's
one case?
So you know, tell us about.
No,
Chris
I'm asking
Darden.
you.
No, I'm asking you.
That's like saying.
You're the Chris Darden
That's like
attorney.
saying.
You're the Chris Darden
That's like saying.
defense attorney.
I'm gonna make a
Defend it.
judgment
Defend
on your
Chris
writing
Darden.
style.
No.
I ain't never read your stuff.
Tell us how great Chris
Well,
Darden
hold on,
is.
let me-
No, let's
I'm a
run.
judge.
Tell us how great.
I'm a judge.
How
What
Chris
kind of
Darden
professor
is. Of course
Greg
he does.
Carr is,
Right.
but I ain't never seen you teach.
Tell us
But
how
here-
great Chris
well,
Darden
let me-
is.
let me
How many
ask-
cases has he won?
But here's the-
You're not
here-
answering
this ma-
because
You don't even know.
You don't know either.
Lauren,
You
I'm
don't know
saying I
either.
don't know. But you are making judgments on stuff you know nothing about.
I know he
maybe-
lost the
maybe-
biggest case in the last 50
One case.
years.
Well, maybe our
the
emphasis-
OJ case is not just one case.
I Googled Chris Darden
Okay.
cases.
Here we go, the
All right,
facts.
so
All right.
if you believe in
All right,
Google,
Okay.
the first thing is that he represents Buck.
Of course.
So because that's a lady.
I'm scrolling down, scrolling down, and then the next thing is OJ.
Right.
Why? And why is that?
But see,
because
They don't-
unless it's a major
There's no other-
celebrity or whatever,
no other
you
profile
don't
case.
know.
Well, Roland, I think you may, when you led this story, I think this may be the thing. Are we looking at the wrong side for emphasis? In other words, it isn't that it's Chris Darden specifically. It's that there's a black lawyer who's defending somebody who harmed black people. And I think maybe it's the defense of who this guy is that's the issue. I mean, take Harvey Weinstein, for example.
right.
Why isn't Harvey Weinstein leading the news? Why? Because Oprah Winfrey, who has got Michael Jackson's accusers on HBO, being R. Kelly, now has another episode coming out. Why? Black people care when black people are harmed. When it's a white person, yes. Now, Chris Darden may not be important. Why is he the name we're talking about? Because he has a name. If it were anonymous black attorney
So what
defending
about-
this white
That's
man who
right.
wants
People-
So
That's
what
true.
about
That's true.
So what,
That's
and
true.
guess what?
That's
and
true.
all those white students at Harvard,
Yes.
who went
Yeah.
after the black
The black
attorney,
dean
No, that's
and
right.
his wife.
No, that's
who
right.
was on
That's
the
right.
team
Yes.
of
Right.
Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
Right.
Now,
It says, by the way, it says he
Right.
quit Nipsey Hussle's defense.
no, I know he did because
Oh, that's a good point, though.
because he got death threats.
Correct.
So again,
No,
here's
make that
the
point you're
deal.
making about this
Here's the
Harvard
deal.
guy.
I don't know the clients who Chris Darden represented. I don't. I can't say what kind of defense attorney he is. What I can say is this: is you can hire whoever the hell you want.
True.
As a black lawyer, you should be able to do the same thing white lawyers do.
Agreed.
You got white lawyers out there who have become multimillionaires,
Sure.
who have represented mobsters
Sure.
and celebrities,
Sure.
have represented people on trial for sexual assault.
Sure.
And you know what? Folks say, guess what? Cool. But it's interesting how we want to have a higher standard for black lawyers, just like we have a higher standard for black politicians and a higher standard for black folks in all these areas. And so what is it about us where we're saying, how dare you? But if a celebrity white attorney, if Marsha Clark was hired by him,
Wow.
what would we be saying? Nothing.
Well, I mean, you're raising something
now
very
here's
important.
the thing. With
Go, go, go.
attorneys do have sort of a different profession in that they do get to choose who they work with a little bit more than,
We
say,
all do.
a politician, okay? But
We all do.
let's be real. If you want to build a boutique law firm around defending people who are innocent or around defense, defending like this type of case, you can do that. So I just feel like he is making a choice. Again,
Of
your
course
point,
he's making a choice.
Your point is well taken.
Bruce Cutler made a
but
choice.
we-
Bruce Cutler
but we
is
have a
the
lot of
most
people-
well-known mobster lawyer who's a multimillionaire. And it's not like white folks are saying, Bruce, how dare you? You defended John Gotti.
Well-
guess what? He was on 60 Minutes.
We have a lot of
This is
people
fascinating.
who do choose to do a
but
type of
So
law.
are we?
That's all I'm saying.
Are we as black people holding black attorneys?
Absolutely we are.
To a higher standard.
Absolutely we are.
And we say nothing.
I love
Well-
how you say black attorneys, right? I'm talking about Chris Darden.
And you only talk
one
about it
person.
'cause he's a black attorney.
Okay,
But-
one
right,
person.
now that's true.
Because I know a lot of black attorneys that bust their ass for no money, not
Well,
getting paid, representing people
that's what I was gonna say.
who are innocent.
That's
Okay.
what-
So
or-
Chris
or-
Darden
or
is
who
one
guilty.
thing.
First of
Black
all,
attorneys is another.
I know black attorneys who bust they represent people who guilty.
Who guilty? That's what I was gonna say. I went
Okay.
to law school with,
Okay.
and in fact, I went to law school with a lot of folks who are practicing law now who have made a life and a career of representing people,
Right.
black women and men who are near indigent or
Right.
indigent,
Right.
who may have been hustling weed,
Right.
herb, may have got caught. In other
Right.
words, who may be technically guilty.
Right.
But I do think the point you're raising is very important. Yes, we hold our people
absolutely.
to a higher
We
standard.
do. That's
the
a yes.
question I have, and I've never heard you say that we shouldn't hold that high standard. The challenge is that we don't hold other people to the same high standard. We hold our people, and therein lies the difference between how black people have navigated this criminal enterprise called the United States and the way other people have navigated, because they don't care.
And it's the same damn thing I say when black people will watch some trash-ass reality shows
Yes, sir.
on Bravo and but if TV1 put it on,
Yes, sir.
and BET put it on,
Yes,
we'll shut it down.
That's right.
So the point is this here. I don't give a damn who Chris Darden represents. I really don't. I don't know who he's represented. I don't know what his one-loss record is. What I'm not going to do is say he's not a good lawyer because of one case, OJ. Because guess what? If Marsha Clark got hired, folks wouldn't be saying a damn thing. You know why? Because a white woman would get the pass.
That's right.
But we are saying, you know, he black, he shouldn't.
I say torch them both.
I'm telling you right now, when you got to hire your ass a lawyer, you don't care what nobody outside think.
Oh, Lord.
That's the reality. Let's talk about Georgia, folks. Secretary of State has removed hundreds of thousands of registered voters that were classified as inactive from its voting rolls, even though there was a legal challenge from a voting rights group to block the purge of a portion of the names. Fair Fight Action, a voting rights organization founded by Stacey Abrams, filed an emergency motion in federal court on Monday, challenging the removal of a portion of the list. U.S. District Judge Steve Jones denied that motion. Here's the deal. Supreme Court ruled in the Ohio case that this is legal. They did. And it was a white man in Ohio
That's right.
who filed that.
That's right.
And so this is one of those things where what people who believe in voting are going to have to do, we all have access to the list. The list has the names of the people, has the addresses. What we're going to have to do, and I do this all the time, I register every year. Y'all ain't saying I moved.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
We're going to have to, it's going to have to be a process to where you are constantly being registered because they're going to play these games.
That actually is not a bad tactic, Roland, because, I mean, this again, which is why when you're replacing the federal bench, this is where the war is going to be fought in the next 20 years.
50.
Stacey Abrams should be the governor of Georgia because Brian Kemp stole the election by being the Secretary of State and engaging in this behavior. They now realize that Georgia is a battleground state. They're trying to get ahead of this 2020 vote. And so that actually is not a bad idea. Black folks, register every year.
So,
And take this off the page.
don't assume.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
it's a card.
Yeah.
Fill it out. There you go.
Wow.
When you register, re-register your car, it's automatic. You could do that. And these are defensive on the suppression issues. Also, when you go to vote, and if there's some confusion, you have every right to ask for a provisional ballot. Get that provisional ballot, you fill it out. Yes, it goes in another box.
What's your experience with provisional ballots? Because they pulled that on me about 3 years ago in Maryland, and I vote every year. They gave me a provisional ballot. I said, well, y'all giving me a
Oh,
provisional?
you weren't on the rolls?
But I vote every year in the same place.
You got purged somehow. Like, yeah, you got purged.
No, but what's your? Do they count these ballots only?
Only if it's within a certain percentage
Exactly.
of the. And it depends on the state, but it depends on a certain percentage of the win.
Register.
Otherwise, it just
every
stays
year.
in that box with
Right.
dust on it. But at least you have voted, and you have, and there can be legal challenges. I mean, but if you don't fill out the ballot at all, there is definitely no chance of count.
Right. Well, and again, look, folks.
I like that re-registering though.
Yeah.
No, it just, I mean, as simple as this here.
Yeah.
They know what's coming.
No question.
There's a deliberate plan. Mitch McConnell has already said it. They are articulating. Their plan is simple. We want to control. They know that there's no law on the city level, on the county level, on the state level, on the federal level that cannot be challenged.
It's true.
And so their goal is to say, yeah, we're about to lose some states. So while they're doing gerrymandering, hold on to power.
Send it to court.
Voter suppression, hold on to power.
Send it to court.
All this, hold on to power.
To our
That's the
newly
piece.
picked bench.
Yep. Send
To
it
our
to court.
newly picked
Because
bench.
you can't vote on judges,
How about that?
on federal judges.
Send it to court.
And they're there for life.
Yes.
And so we better understand linking the federal court to who we vote for.
That's right.
See, that's the piece where these Democrats had better bring it up
We sleep on
and
that.
sound the alarm. Democrats,
Why are they talking about it?
Dude,
We sleep
for
on that.
forever. And the crazy thing is, Democratic Party is idiotic because if it wasn't for the federal courts, not the Supreme Court in Brown 1 and 2.
No.
It was the lower courts that actually interpreted and enforced Brown 1 and 2.
That's right.
That's why the Republicans are still pissed, because of the 64 Civil Rights Act, 65 Voting Rights Act, Fair Housing Act, because those federal judges used the Constitution to grant black folks their rights.
That's right.
And I don't know what the hell Dems are doing not talking about it.
Judge Tuttle at the district court level, Judge Damon Keith at the Court of Appeals level. The Supreme Court is the court of last resort. Most of these cases decided the Supreme. This guy in Georgia allowed this purge to continue. He's sitting on the federal bench, but he's at the district court level. People, we have to understand this.
You gotta link them.
Yeah.
Democrats not doing it. They never do.
Democrats are terrible.
We sleep on that.
It's just a number.
Democrats, you can't talk about climate change if they gonna sue.
Right. Because you'll lose.
And I think most of us are convinced that one of the reasons
that
they didn't
change or PETA or something.
got a problem.
Animal rights
No,
or
but it
climate
just-
change, and then we might get someplace.
There's no, they are taking federal regulations. They're taking them to federal court.
Right.
Republicans are saying, y'all pass all the laws y'all want to.
No question.
We're gonna have judges who gonna say, nope, nope,
That's right.
nope.
That's right.
And they're gonna have them on the district level,
Yes.
the appellate level, Supreme Court. So they're gonna say, we're gonna be able to block anything from the bottom to the top.
I mean, when the sister came out and said and ruled from the court and said that no president is above the law, that should have sent a message to all. Do you see why it's important to have black people on the bench? This sister was like, oh, no, you have to answer this federal subpoena. And if you don't understand that,
Right.
then you don't understand what's going on. These people have given up on voting. They're trying to hold the line, but they're stocking the bench because it's the judge's law.
I get McConnell did not let Obama do it, but Obama could have done a better job on the judges.
Let me be clear.
He could
I'm not
have
in the
done a
Barack
better
Obama defender at all.
job.
Barack Obama,
Right here,
yes,
you heard it?
yeah,
Obama should have appointed a black woman.
no question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a disaster.
Obama should have appointed a black
He wouldn't
woman.
have done that to a black woman.
Obama should have appointed a black woman.
Yeah.
Dr. King always said, you gotta have a protagonist and an antagonist. You can't have 109 white men, 109 justices in the history of the Supreme Court, and 105 being white men. And then you appoint one. We ain't fighting for him. But if he had appointed a black woman,
Come on.
first in history, it would have set up protagonists, antagonists.
That's right.
And it would have been hell on the GOP for 9 months.
That's right.
And then Obama went to Illinois and gave a speech and mocked those of us. What y'all want me to do? Appoint a lesbian from Muskogee? Go look it up. He did.
That's right.
Was one of the biggest mistakes he ever made.
That's right.
And I still believe, had he appointed a black woman, that would have been a major motivating factor for a lot of people in voting in 2016.
You know the tragedy about this, Roland? I remember on your show, News One Now, when Scalia died, I think in that next week you had a panel of, and you said this very, in other words,
Yes.
Barack Obama.
Because when Scalia died on Friday,
Yes.
I called Melanie Campbell,
Come on.
Leah Daltrey.
The beginning.
and said, y'all need to have a meeting and y'all need to release a public letter
That's right.
calling for him to appoint a black. Yes.
But see,
I was
getting
in
back
Toronto
to-
at the NBA All-Star game and did that. Hell yeah, I did.
So just getting back to how we treat each other differently, how we treat black black people differently. We have different standards. We did it with Obama in the other direction, right?
Yes.
So we revered him so much.
We
didn't
do
put any
it
pressure.
with Obama. Well, some people do.
Yeah, we didn't put any pressure on him, so
That's
he
right.
just kind of did whatever. And he was the guy that you had to make him do it, if I ever saw.
No question.
And so he just didn't. And you just see the party. It's not just about skin color. It's also party. Like the Republicans get in power, they understand how to wield power, they understand what power is, and they
don't care
exert
about
it.
being nice.
I'm
No, they
still
don't.
not happy.
No, they
All right,
don't.
y'all. Two women are alleged
They
that
don't.
they were victims of mortgage fraud in Prince George's County, Maryland. The scheme was used by the same man in both cases. Patricia Duckett said a friend referred her to William Whalen after she lost one of her two jobs and knew she needed to reduce her mortgage payments. Duckett said Whalen told her he was an attorney and she paid him more than $7,000 to refinance her mortgage. What she didn't know, it's illegal nationwide for someone to charge you upfront for mortgage services. Her home went into foreclosure and was sold in an auction. Another woman, whose home went into foreclosure. Luckily, the bank worked with her after she paid this man $2,000. Folks, I need y'all to understand something. If anybody tells you I can help you refinance your home and stop paying your mortgage, run. They're lying. That's a part of the reason why black folks lost 53% of our wealth during the home foreclosure crisis. We have to have the information. There are people who prey on us because they prey on our lack of knowledge, Greg.
Absolutely. I mean, Roland, and particularly we got elderly. My mother is elderly in Nashville. If I have a penny for every flyer that comes to our little house in Nashville, try and get these old people, beating them out with reverse mortgages and everything. And of course, my mother knows. And it's like a lot of elders because they have family. But what happens when that person is isolated? The Washington Post ran this series here in D.C. where people are losing their houses because they say they got property tax, they owe $2. And you look up and your house has been flipped. We have to be especially vigilant now in this age of gentrification.
That's wealth.
Property market. It's wealth.
Yeah.
That's right.
And also what you just said is there's a house in my family in Brooklyn that's pretty, valuable. And my grandmother, before she passed away at 99 a few years ago, she used to get calls every single day over that house. And now we've got people coming over all the time, asking about it. Asking
They
for
call me,
sale.
texting me about my house in Texas.
Texas, right.
I go, nope.
Right.
Exactly.
Hell no.
Right.
Nope.
Because when you have that wealth and you have that house, if you said a lot of times, you're controlling somebody else's economics.
Don't get rid of real
Because
estate.
you have got them paying your mortgage, them paying rent to you, them paying Airbnb.
Or my parents, both 72.
Right.
Still in very good health.
Right.
But they're living rent free.
In your house. Right.
My sister and her daughter are living in the house.
Exactly.
Rent free.
Exactly.
I just pay the taxes every year.
Exactly.
So the point is, I am able to help two generations of my family be able to live and build what they're doing without having to pay $1,000 or $1,200 a month. And that's why that's important.
And all that money they're not spending on rent and mortgage or taxes is going right into them.
Here's the challenge on the gentrification. The challenge is, okay, family owns a house, no mortgage left on it because they've been paying for 30 years, they go off to heaven. The kids who don't live in that area,
come on, Ron,
get the phone call of $600,000 for your house. How do you say it's hard?
I've gotten that phone call, but see, technology and Airbnb in particular is starting to fix that because you don't necessarily have to be there, right? And you should never get rid of property.
Or
never get rid of property.
When I did the State of Black America deal at Howard Theater for National Urban League, this is what I said to Mark Morial. I'm tired of having gentrification conversations. There was a black couple in Atlanta that did a 7-day crowdfunding campaign and created, I think it was called the Tulsa Fund. They raised $9.7 million for a crowdfunding campaign for real estate. What I keep telling black people, y'all, if we know the properties are for sale, hell, guess what? We can pool resources. We can begin to acquire property. I'm sorry. I'm tired of having gentrification conversations that are not tied to, okay, are we going to buy the property?
That's right.
There are 1,300 buildings in D.C. One building, all downtown, is black owned.
How about that?
That's the
black women.
Black
National
women.
Defense
That's the women. That's right.
No question.
It's a really nice property.
Don't sleep on Mary McLeod Bethune and
Although
Dorothy Irene Heights.
CBC owns that building on Mass Ave. They own that building on Mass Ave. The foundation, Congressional Black Caucus Foundation.
The townhouse?
And there's still
They
some
own
black
the
churches,
townhouse.
Metropolitan AME.
Yeah, that's right,
But
Metropolitan.
Roland,
Yeah.
you're making a very important
Churches are
point.
huge in
We
this,
have to
yeah.
think, and this isn't something that you're talking about that's theoretical.
Right.
We don't look forward in time for the solution. Look
Right.
backward in time.
Right.
If you look at during enslavement, Davis Bend, Mississippi, and the Sea Islands, you had black people come out of enslavement to figure out a way to put
Right.
enough money together to buy
Right.
some land.
Right.
So don't just think that this is, we can't do. No, we've done it before.
Right.
Oh, gosh,
That's my
yeah.
point. That's my point. All right, y'all, real quick here, finally today, we remember Herman Boone, who passed away Wednesday at his home in Alexandria, Virginia, at the age of 84. He was the high school football coach who inspired the 2000 film, Remember the Titans.
Bunch of tough guys. You look like a bunch of fifth-grade sissies after a cat fight. You got anger, that's good. You're gonna need it, son. You got aggression, that's even better. You're gonna need that too. But any little 2-year-old child can throw a fit. Football is about controlling that anger, harnessing that aggression into a team effort to achieve perfection. Some coaches, they cut a player if they think he's not up to snuff, when they think he's hurting the team. This is a public school program. I will never, ever cut a player who comes out to play for me. But when you put that uniform on, that Titan uniform, you better come to work. We will be perfect in every aspect of the game. You drop a pass, you run a mile. You miss a blocking assignment, you run a mile. You fumble the football, and I will break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts. And then you will run a mile. Perfection.
And folks, he was one of the speakers at APB Speakers Bureau here, and here's what they have on their YouTube channel with Herman Boone.
What happened to the team's coach after the movie was over? Here, the rest of the story. It was the end to a perfect season. But this game was about more than just football. For the T.C. Williams Titans, it was a victory for social change. That was the end of the movie. But what's the rest of the story? Whatever happened to the Titans and their coach Herman Boone, played by actor Denzel Washington?
I'm in touch with them every single day. Every single day I get an email from one or two of them.
Herman Boone continued coaching for 9 more seasons and never had a losing team. But in 1981, he left coaching, burnt out from all the pressure. Boone was only 46.
Coaching at T.C. Williams is not an easy job. You're going to have to win. And the stress and the pressures put on you there are just terrific.
The Titans continue to be a force in football, but in the late 1980s and 90s, the program slipped.
Emphasis started to be placed on other areas. Girls athletics, soccer, and other non-revenue making sports began to take the spotlight.
You can tell whoever threw this brick through my window, they can come visit me anytime.
While the movie captured the racial tensions of the early 70s, today T.C. Williams is a model of ethnic diversity.
We don't have a racial situation there now. We've been able to attract kids from over 84 nations, and I marvel in the fact of how well they get along.
It's a message that Herman Boone emphasizes when he speaks to schools across the country.
You pick this ball up, you run every one of them.
Now 73. Herman Boone admits he isn't the same hard-driving fanatic portrayed in the movie, but he does have one demand that he absolutely insists upon.
I've had about 20 different artists recording to play all day long at my funeral, my way. I stood tall. I took the blows, and I did it my way.
Herman Boone survived by his wife and 3 daughters. He probably left us with that phrase, are you outside your mind? All right, folks, I've got to go. I got to catch a plane. I'm headed to Accra, Ghana. We're going to be, of course, in 3 cities. I got a crew there. We're shooting all over the place. And so my sister, so y'all think you just have this shirt here. So I actually had this made up. So you see the back of the shirt.
Yes, sir. There it is.
What's it on the back?
Brother.
So
The year of return.
so y'all see me in
Y'all
Ghana.
see that?
Y'all see this shirt here.
Yes. Yes.
Jamal Brown's like, I got to get one of those. You got to pay for it, Jamal. So, all right, folks, I appreciate it. Y'all have a great Christmas, but I'll see you before then. And we'll be back. My goal is to broadcast from Ghana while there. We'll see what the internet connection is, but that's what our goal is. And so we'll see you guys. All right, y'all take care. Holla.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Hey everybody, this is Sherry Shepherd. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, and while he's doing Unfiltered, I'm practicing the wobble. Yes, I am. Because Roland Martin's the one, he will do it backwards, he will do it on the side. He messes everybody up when he gets into the wobble, because he doesn't know how to do it, so he does it backwards. And it just messes me up every single time. So I'm working on it. I got it. You got Roland Martin.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mac Wiles, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.
Martin.